I'm Jeff. I've been doing this for 16 years this month. I've been doing dent repair. And I was encouraged through a friend of mine who owned a body shop, Beach City's Auto Collision down in San Clemente. And so I obviously turned it into Beach City's paint and stain removal. And started working weekends at a car wash. And took it from there, and here we are 16 years later. We got the shop here in Huntington Beach. It's one of only 3 shops in all of Orange County in LA. There's not many shops that do this, but there's tons of guys doing this mobily. It's a great business to get into. It's very, very skilled. It's a metal craft. So it took me 3 or 4 years to get really proficient, and then every couple years after that, you just improve it more and more and more. Very, very skilled. Get it done very fast. But I'm going to go ahead and take these 2 dents out right here that Ed has in his car. Like I always do, I just kind of jump into it, let you guys answer, or throw out a bunch of questions, and I'll talk. I'll answer your questions as I'm working, so you can see the dent coming out. What makes this dent difficult is that Ed color sanded it, made it flat, took all the orange peel out. Makes it really tough, because I got to put that orange peel, or I got to make that dent as flat as I possibly can, and not crack the paint. That's what makes this dent repair so hard, or pretty much any dent repair hard. You're dealing with metal with paint on it. Every body shop guy you know, you're dealing with metal, straightening it out, and there's no paint on it. You scrape it off first. You fill it in, with filler, putty, whatever you use to make it flat. We don't have any of those advantages. We can't do that. We gotta make it flat from here. So go ahead and start throwing out your questions. They'll start popping into your head as I start working. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a tool. Here's a custom tool. You can actually take these tips off. You got bullet tips. You got rounded tips, you got flat tips. You can interchange these things without having to buy without having to buy 5 tools. You can buy a whole bunch of different tips. But you can see how the difference is. I mean, these are just way better. But yeah, so now we buy them. But yeah, I used to make them. Not worth it anymore. Too much of a headache. So I went ahead and preset this dent up. I went ahead and drilled a hole right here, because on this particular Jeep you can't go through the window because you got the window rail. And these windows are really tight. When you roll them down, there's no room to stick this tool in there. So I cannot go through the window on this without cracking the window. That's what I don't want to do. I could take the door panel off, but it's too close, and it's all arm strength to get that dent out. And what I need is leverage. By doing this hole, I can stick my tool right behind that dent, and I can barely push, and I got a ton of leverage. I can't do that by hand. So, can you guys all see this dent right here?
Yeah.
Okay, you can pretty much see it almost at an angle from here. So I'm just going to start slowly massaging this dent back out. I'm going to go up and down with it a few times. And you'll see it start moving out. When I first started this exact dent, it would take me about 3 or 4 hours, and I could never get it perfect. And I'm not trying to brag by any means, but you can see how fast this goes now.
Yeah.
Learning how to push in the right spot of the metal, and knowing where to push, reading the metal, kind of moving it like carpet across the room, you know. Taking that slack of metal and pushing it across the dent to the other side. Let me go ahead and move it up. I'm going to take this one out now. I'm going to come back and finish this one off, make it perfect. I'm going to show this one's going to come out too.
Do you put that right in the center of that actual beam, or do you go in, out, and in?
Depends on the dent. I'm looking for the impact spot, so I'm pushing the dent out as flat as I can. The center of that dent, the impact spot, is going to stay at the lowest point at all times. And I'm going to push it out nice and soft, and I'm going to go back and hit that center. But I'm kind of moving around, kind of moving all around the place, kind of like a star pattern sometimes. There's no exact pattern or way to do it. A lot of guys say go around the outside and work your way into the center, you know, kind of in theory, but you're not really doing that. You're just kind of randomly. So now I'm going to actually tap this one down just a little bit. Yeah, we don't always drill holes either. We only do it when we need to. But if it's a choice of going through a window, if I can go through a window, I'll do that. But if I'm going to get a better outcome by drilling, I'm going to do that. So now I can actually see what hit this door. It's actually another door. It's a flat panel like this. It hit it and it moved that way. I can see that with the impact spot that I have left right there. You can actually see the drag lines also inside the paint. But when you bring it up a little bit like I did, it really defines it.
And that's exactly what happened.
See, now what I did was I took that piece of tape off, which gave me a big, huge blunt head on the tip of this tool. And now I'm just going metal to metal with the tip of that tool, making it really sharp, and I can pinpoint exactly where I want to hit. And dial this thing in. And if you're sitting back this way, you can see a perfect shadow reflection of everything inside that because of this light. And you can see it even better than you can if you're standing out front, over here in this area. So any other questions?
Do you charge by how long it takes, or by how many dents to take out, or?
A good question, yeah. So basically what we do now is our minimum charge for a small dent like this, just this one by itself, would be like 125 bucks. With our experience over the years, obviously we've gotten a lot faster. So if you've ever been on our website, I have a rule now where if I can get a dent done in 10 minutes or less, I'll do it for 75 bucks. I think it's only fair to give back that way. I shouldn't say give back, but be fair as a business guy, you know, and making pretty good money pretty fast. So still 75 bucks in 10 minutes ain't bad, but you know, you're not doing that all day long. But helps. It's another way of marketing to help bring your customers back too. So you give them a fair deal at a fair price. Typically, this dent right here is 125. To do both of them, I charge 150. As a mobile service, it's 150. And yeah, also to answer the other part of that question, sometimes we do charge on difficulty. So if you have this exact same dent and it's right up here against this edge, probably about 150, 200 bucks by itself. It's going to take a lot longer because it's really difficult to get a tool behind this edge. Very difficult. So it's just more time consuming.
Where'd you go to learn the techniques?
Actually, a buddy of mine back in the day, he was doing this out of as a mobile service, never had a shop, and he trained me. He was trained from about '89 on, and he trained me back in 1996. So I just went over to his house a few times a week for about 3 weeks, and he just trained me out of there. Knowing what I know now and the way I train people, he didn't show me a whole lot. A lot of stuff I figured out, and I was like, wow, he never even mentioned that. But he was a good tech. But I do train people. I train about 4 or 5 people a year. I don't get into that too heavily because I get kind of picky who I train. You don't want to over flood it.
And what were you doing before you started?
I was an auto mechanic, which was a huge advantage. So taking headlights out, taillights, taking doors off, or door panels off, things like that, it really, really helped out. I always had that idea of wanting to work for myself. Didn't know what to do, how to do it. A buddy of mine trained me. You talked me into it. I said, okay, let's do it. It worked out perfect.
I think a little 3,000 sandpaper and some compound
Yep,
would be
you
good
might
enough.
do all right, yep. But this is something you gotta, if you have the type of patience to take things apart and try to fix them and just have that little meticulous thing going, this is the kind of job you can do. Because you need that type of patience. You can't just, a lot of guys want to get into this because they see, oh, they can make good money real fast. It ain't gonna work. It will not work. This is an art. This is a lot like artwork. This is a craft. If you don't have the patience to sit down and do this, yeah, it just ain't gonna work. But that's pretty much it right there. Actually, no, a little more. I'm probably more picky than my customers are. I'm always looking at it, retouching it up. Hey, I'm done. Oh, nope, a little bit more. I guess that's a good thing to have.
Sounds like some detail like that now.
Yeah, huh? I'm always trying to look at it from different angles, so you see me going looking at it from this way and all different angles. Kind of like, I'm looking at paint too, just as much as you guys. I'm just not messing with the paint too much. Yeah, Yeah, you learn paint real fast in doing dent repairs. You really got to know what you can touch, what you can't touch, how hard you can push on it.
That hammer's aluminum and that white piece is rubber or what?
Yeah, it's a plastic like a Delrin. So if I push that up too high, I can use this as my tap and use a little bit longer hammer and tap this, or I can just use this as my hammer and tap it this way. But that's pretty much done right there.